up, nerds? Drea here. Back again with another video that I haven't really thought out. Today we're talking about books. I love books. I love owning books. I actually hadn't read an actual book probably since 2016. I mostly read manga and fan fiction. But because of the whole Twilight Renaissance of 2020, it kind of got me thinking about other books I read around that time. So I've decided to do a series talking about these books after years of not picking them up. For now, we're just going to focus on 3 of them. First off, we have a pretty fun mystery that I remember thinking at the time should have been a series, and what do you know? It does have a ton of sequels. This is Dead is the New Black. So when I was deep into my Twilight phase, I was desperate for anything that came up at the library as including vampires. Now, while this does have vampires in it, they're definitely not the stars. This book follows Daisy, a teenage girl who's dealing with the fact that her father has been missing for several years, and that she's the only one in her family who doesn't have psychic powers. So on the first day of school, the most popular girl in school comes decked out in complete goth wear. Like she's actually carrying a coffin behind her. One of the funniest lines in the book is that all the goth kids get really mad that now the popular kids are dressing like goths, and so they start dressing in like prep wear with like tennis skirts and pearls. It's super funny. So the main story of this book is that teenage girls are going missing, and Daisy's mom, who is like a medium that works with the police, is kind of stumped. She doesn't know where to start. So Daisy decides to take matters into her own hands for some unknown reason. I don't think it's super clear. And she does this with the help of her best friend Ryan, who may or may not have a crush on her. Honestly, this book was super fun to read. It's been well over a decade since I last read this book, which means that all the twists in it were basically new to me. It's an easy read, a quick read. I basically read it in one afternoon at work. And I'm definitely reading the next one. I definitely give Dead is the New Black, let's say 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely will read it again. So the next book we're going to talk about is called Vampire Kisses. This book has not really aged well. And yet, this book and its sequels, I absolutely love. So this is about a girl named Raven who is obsessed with all things spooky and mostly vampires. She basically dresses like she stepped out of early 2000s Hot Topic. She is in love with all things weird and would rather be a fly in Transylvania than be a teenage girl in her town, which she calls Dullsville. Yeah, it's that kind of book. The only bright spot in town for her is a mansion that is rumored to have had a baroness live in it way back when, but nobody can really confirm or deny that. And one day, a family moves into this mansion and the town is abuzz with rumors. People start saying that this family is kind of weird. There's a mother, a father, a son, and their butler. The son, no one ever sees. They only see the butler, and the mother and father only go out at night. And the weirdest thing that gets people talking is they go to the most popular Italian restaurant in town and order the pasta without the garlic. So obviously, Raven soaks up the rumors, and she decides to find out for herself if this family is really a family of vampires. So honestly, the book itself is kind of so-so. I do love how cheesy and dated it is, but some of the things that happen in the first half of the book, specifically between Raven and her main bully Trevor, I don't like those parts. It does get better halfway through when Raven finally meets Alexander Sterling. Now, Alexander is exactly the guy I want. Drea has a type, and it's Alexander Sterling. Here's a panel from the graphic novel. That. I want that. But anyway, I won't go on for too much longer. Or any longer at all. Moving on. Honestly, this book is just kind of okay. The biggest issue is the story really doesn't get started until halfway through, and by the time you really understand what's going on, it ends. But thankfully, we have a ton of sequel books. But we'll have to talk about those some other time. I would give Vampire Kisses maybe 3 out of 5. Those 3 points are mostly for Alexander. So my last book is actually one that I didn't read in high school. It was one that my older brother read to me when I was 11. It's called Jade Green, a ghost story. I have fond memories of my older brother coming home from school, and he would tell me about any interesting books that he read in school. And this one always stuck out to me, and so a few years later, I bought it. In fact, it's my favorite book, or one of my favorite books. But it's not without its problems. So this book is set in the late 1800s, which comes with a lot of late 1800s talk. So we follow 15-year-old Judith Sparrow, who has just arrived at her uncle's house after her mother has died. And while she's very happy to finally have a place to stay, she's very confused about the one rule that her uncle gives her. She is not allowed to bring anything green into the house. But because she believes that rule to be just a simple quirk, she does bring one thing. She brings a picture of her mother that is framed in green silk. So the first day she's there, she's happy to meet her uncle and the very friendly housekeeper. She's less happy to meet her cousin Charles and the stares that he gives her. But overall, Judith is pretty content with her situation. Except one night, she hears something scratching in her closet. The same place where she put the green picture frame. This book is super compelling, but it does have issues. And I'll have to issue a trigger warning because this is a book that would have never been allowed to be read by children today. This book does not mince words when it comes to how Judith interprets the looks that her cousin Charles gives her. And I think you can guess what I'm talking about there. Charles is 40 and Judith is 15. It's not great. It can be extremely uncomfortable, and honestly, if I had come across this book later in life, I probably would have stopped reading it. Though what I can say is because this book is written very simply, each section that these strange scenes with Charles come up, they're very short, and they're also handled fairly well. It's also not explicit because, honestly, this is just a children's book. It's written like a children's book. It's written like one of those books you would have read in middle school. I cautiously recommend this book to not kids because even though I'm pretty sure these scenes would go over the head of a child because they did go over mine, should they? Anyway, this is still one of my favorite books. Yes, it's mostly because of sentimental value, but I honestly think it's written very well. Also, it's super quick to get through. I got through this in just a couple hours. I'd give this book a 4 out of 5. I'm sorry, mostly sentimental. Anyway, that'll do it for today. I had a ton of fun making this video. It kind of makes me want to do it again. And I will. This is only part 1 of a series I'm definitely going to continue. I have a lot more books that I read when I was younger that may or may not hold up. Please like this video if you liked it. And please comment down below what other books you think I should talk about. But don't say Twilight because I'm definitely planning a Twilight series. Just don't know when yet. Please subscribe if you haven't already and ring the bell so you're notified when I upload my next nerdy thing. Please have a great rest of your day, week, month, and year, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye! You guys like my Barry Manilow shirt? I got it at a Barry Manilow concert I went to with my mom, like a long time ago actually. It was like 8 years ago, I feel like. That's as long as I've been single. Is this why?